Hi everyone, hope all are well. The Column of Curae is back with yet another video session. Well, today's topic is male rape and gender neutral rape laws. In these unprecedented times of pandemic, while the entire country went into lockdown, there were a lot of reports regarding the increase in domestic violence cases of not only women but also men. As sensitive as it is, the issue needs a proper discussion and timely action has to be taken. Rape laws should not only be there for safeguarding rights of women, but it should take into account people of all genders as a whole. This topic will be discussed at length by Mr. Souvik Roy. We are deeply honored, sir, to have you as our speaker today. Now, just to
Thank
let our viewers know, Sir is currently an associate professor with University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata, is an educationist in the legal domain with the previous experience of working as faculty of law with National Law University, Odisha, and KIT, not before his prior corporate experience in Mumbai and Calcutta. He guides students for education abroad coupled with career counseling. He has already submitted his PhD thesis at KIT University and completed his bachelor degree of law from University of Kolkata and his LLM from Queen Mary University of London with merit including distinction in two subjects. I would now like to hand over the platform to Sir.
thank you so much, Shrishti. Thank you for the introduction. And of course, Column of Curae, all of you there who are doing an excellent work, an excellent job, be it Devatam, Shaurajit, Krishna, Shrishti, and of course, Namrata. So, today's topic, I just felt this is something that needs to be addressed and something that is not as much addressed as it should be. So before I start the topic, let me be very clear on one front that I'm definitely not one of those who is a misogynist, or say, for instance, who is a male chauvinist to the point that who's only talking about male rights. No, it's not like that. I know there are loopholes in the law even now when you talk of rape under the Indian law, and definitely when it comes to the woman's status, the status of a woman under the criminal law, even the substantive penal law of the country with respect to rape, especially marital rape. But now coming back, something very fundamental and important, I felt that this concept of male rape. And when I talk about male here, I am predominantly talking about an adult male. I'm not talking about a boy or a young boy who's a minor. Of course, there is POCSO Act as well, which takes care of this child sexual abuse. But what is very important and fundamental is the social mores, the Victorian social mores of sexuality that was embedded in the very English understanding of the common law system was subsequently embroidered into the Indian culture as well through Lord T.B. Macaulay and his group of people. Now, essentially, as you know, just that section 377, that was apparently an unnatural offense for reasons best known to the Britishers. Of course, some of it is a lot to do with the Victorian understanding of what is sexual intercourse and the relationship between man and the woman when it comes to a carnal companionship. But I felt that the Indian law is definitely very much patriarchal. There's no two ways about that. And I've noted down some of the provisions as well. But here the question is that of patriarchist and gender neutralist, something which is very fundamental to look into. Now, why do I say that? I say that because if you look into section 8 of the Indian Penal Code, all of you who are listening and probably having a bare act or looking into Indian Kanun and other online websites, you'll find out that he includes the derivatives of any person that can be a male or a female under section 8, I repeat. Now, once you say he, now he is known to be a man, masculinity and that male charisma and everything that is attached to uh, a man in a country where we worship a movie like Bahubali, and we entertain this Singhanism when Ajay Devgan would come out of his car. So therefore, my whole understanding is somewhere at the very outset and its very essence, we are wrong in the framing or the drafting of the section or the provision of the black letter law. Now, why a woman has to be treated on the parlance of a he? That's number one. Most importantly, further, now after the Nalsa judgment, all of you are aware of the fact that even transgender are a separate third gender as well. Now, under section 45 of IPC, it talks about life. It defines life, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's 45. It denotes life of a human being. Now, my point is when rape takes place, and you look into section 375, and the very first words that, a man is said to commit a rape. And of course, then it goes to the point of a woman, the victim being the woman. Where is the man, number one? Secondly, where is that person from the third gender group? So, does it mean that a man or a quote unquote transgender, the third gender, doesn't have a right to life? Somewhere, all that we talk about Indian Constitution and the equity and Article 14 and no discrimination, Article 15, Article 21, right to life, and everything put together, somewhere the equilibrium, the balance, as KPS Tulsi correctly pointed out, we'll come to that later, is totally eroded here. And the reason being very simple. Why? Because of the very fact that equalitarianism under the Indian Constitution, the entire construct, has somehow been totally obliterated, and a blatant disregard, abuse, or unabashed, I would say, abuse of equalitarian principle has taken place by way of not incorporating male as a victim in a case of rape. A man can be sodomized. I repeat, section 377, again going back there. Okay, I mean, of course, it talks about this unnatural offense, which is, of course, now after the judgment that has come into effect, it has been taken care of, but not solely, totally, but to a certain extent, of course, and which is a huge leeway and very progressive. Finally, something has happened. But the entire concept of if a man can be sodomized, why cannot man be raped? You are talking about again a sexual assault here, something which has taken place, an act or an omission that has taken place with a kind of a sexual undertone, explicit, implicit, in whichever way, in whichever format, so be it. So if a law persists under section 377, wherein a man can sodomize another man, why can it be that no, a man cannot rape another man? After the 2013 judgment, after that Nirbhaya rape case that happened, it was famously known as the Nirbhaya incident. And then subsequently, Justice Verma panel report, the committee was set up, and there was this change in the law, and for the probably the right reasons to bring about more deterrence into the system. Something that I really found very fundamental, and something that all forms of intercourse was put within the realm of rape. It was not only purely that biological penile penetration into the private part or the organ of the woman, which happens with the vagina, etc. But my point is, now that you've widened the ambit of what can be intercourse, why not then widen the ambit of who can be a victim of that intercourse? Now, if you look into section 10, you'll find man and woman mentioned, but nowhere the word transgender or the third gender being used in this particular section. And why not? Even if you look into the General Clauses Act, if you look into that in section 13, 1.3, I repeat, my friends, you'll find that masculine gender shall take into account including females. But why? But and if we are so much written in patriarchy, and we are so much concerned about the male in this country of the Union of India, then why is that a male cannot be a victim of rape? I mean, look at that particular case in 2020, the RPF constable Amit Dhankar. What happened was that he wanted to go probably to a place and probably to a red light area or trunk road or somewhere in Mumbai. And then subsequently, what happened? The taxi driver, he refused that, no, I won't let you. So I'm already a passenger. So what he did, he took the taxi driver out, he sodomized the taxi driver, bit the hell out, and everything like black and blue. And then subsequently, he was charged. Now, again, if some form of penetration has taken place, and after 2013 there should not be any doubt whatsoever what can amount to penetration and what are the various forms of penetration. I repeat again, what are the various forms that has been widened. So if it is widened, why is it that under 375 you cannot bring in that ambit of a man can be a victim of this rape law? So I think, Shrishti, this is something which I really felt that something that is worth discussing. I think probably you'd want to put in your views here. So please feel free, and then I can take this forward.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Like, as you rightly said, that IPC considers a man to be a perpetrator only. But, so, what if a girl is forced by another girl for sexual intercourse? Like, will that come under the definition of rape under IPC? Like, what do you think about it?
That's it's high time that should be made to come under. Why? I think that's a very interesting and a very nice point that you've put forth at the very first instance. Because coming to the, of course, the topic is male rape, but this is a very pertinent point because we are also talking about gender neutrality and gender justice somewhere. So, Shrishti, coming to this point that you made, definitely, especially after 2013, especially after 2013, the ambit has been widened so much that it is not only vaginal penetration, it can be all kinds of oral penetration, and not only through a particular organ, it can be any part of the body through any other means. So, for that, even a foreign object can be used without the consent of the other person. So, if that can be used, and that can be a case, a strong case of putting the male as a victim under Section 375, that can equally be made a strong case for a woman to be made a victim under 375, even if, I repeat, marking your point, even if the perpetrator or the alleged offender is a male and not, or rather, it's a female and not a male. So here my major problem is a man. I mean, the moment you put it in the form of a man, you are narrowing the quotient of justice here. I mean, a human being, when you are talking about life under the same code, under 45, you're talking about a human being. But the moment you're getting into the sections, you're narrowing that. So life belongs to all human beings, but when it comes to gender justice, when it comes to justice, when it comes to perpetratorship, or when it comes to accusing someone, or when it comes to making someone, not making someone, that's the wrong phrase to use, but kind of realizing that someone is actually a victim, there suddenly we become narrow and say that, it is the woman who is the victim. Like the Joseph Shine case, I know it was such a celebrated case under Section 497, adultery, that how woman was treated as a chattel or a movable property. Again, I just took the reference because of the point of gender that was saying. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, really, Shashri. I mean, I think that's a very valid and very legitimate point, which can definitely be taken into for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. So now, like the previous question, which I had I had just a random doubt. So with this brings into view the same sex scenario, right? So how often are men and LGBTQ people subject to sexual harassment under different circumstances, like workplace or family? So like, sir, what do you think is gonna be the future of it, and what is your take on this?
So actually, Srishti, with this particular question, and partly a statement, you have actually hit 2 points here, and two very pertinent and important points. One is the future of the law, and the other is what are the circumstances, and is there probably, what you could also probably try to say is whether there is an empirical, any data, if at all, that is available or not on this. So first and foremost, let me tell you, empirical work on this, in this field, is very few, although I have made a list of few which I will share with you people. So that list, it goes like this. First and foremost, especially during wartime crimes in prisons, especially, and then of course in various kind of war fronts, and in Chile, Greece, Croatia, and Indonesia, Soviet Union. There are many instances of male rape, not one, but many, numerous. Then I found this out in 1980s in El Salvador. What happened was, of the 980 people that those were surveyed, it was found out that 76% said that there has been at least one single incident of sexual torture. It need not necessarily be rape, but definitely an incident of sexual torture that has taken place. That's one. Then there was this concentration camp that was in Sarajevo, and 6,000 people were there, and of which 80% of the males were raped there at least once, many throughout the night, thrice, so many times. Then in Uganda, I'll tell you, uh, we all kind of know about the political upheaval and the turmoil that Uganda and its government and this entire nation has been going through, economy wise and otherwise as well. So, there, if somebody is sexually assaulted, what happens is people don't come out in the open and say it, because the male masculinity that kind of takes over, that kind of is always overwhelming, that it's a man cannot be robbed of his dignity or his sanctity, but which is not the case. A man is also a human being, as much fragile as any woman could be, or any person could be, or any other third gender can be. They're just a human being, and that's where we get it wrong. So there, police arrest people if some kind of, not necessarily, but there have been instances of police arresting people if somebody would complain of something like, sexually being assaulted by a man complaining, that is. So what happens is their gay sex or relationship or same-sex relationship is not allowed. So as a result of which, it's been like that there. There's this curious case of Jean Paul. He had graduated from Congo University. And what happened is, University of Congo rather, his father was a very rich, wealthy businessman. And apparently, the military thought that his father is in nexus or abetting crimes with the opposition, and as a result of which, his father was shot dead. And subsequently, Jean Paul was taken into custody, and this young man was brutally raped again and again, up to number of times, nth number of times, and he was taken to the Virunga National Park, and then the rest took place. There's this extremely important survey that was put forth by Insia Dariwala. The survey of 1,500 people, and of which 71% of male said that they were abused. But then something very important, the psychological aspect was taken into account, and the psychological aspect was such that why are that so less number of males come to in the open to actually expressly say that this is what I have gone through. Shame being number one. I repeat, shame. That is 55.6% as per the data that I found out over while researching. Confusion, this is mental confusion, is 50.9%, fear is 43.5%, and guilt is 28.7%. Just imagine the range of emotions as a person who has been victimized, a male, that is, I'm talking about a male who is supposed to be the man, the man's man, who rules the show, who is a patriarch, the Bahubalism that we celebrate in Indian cinema. That man is so fragile, so vulnerable to something which is so very private in nature, all right? Then in 16 June 2018, there was this case that I'm sure most of you are aware of, the Ghaziabad incident, where iron shot was thrust into the lower half or the rectum of the guy, and of course it led to, again, sodomy and sexual assault. But again, of course, it's never led to your rape. And then there are a few others as well. There was one by Center for Civil Society, another in 2007 in India that took place. That 57% of the boys said that they have been molested or sexually assaulted and raped by the thing. But of course, the law being the law as it is, it never took care of it. Now, coming to the final or the end part of our discussion today, which Srishti has kind of asked me with that single statement and question, then where do we see the future? The future is very simple. You have to bring in equity. We, the law people, we always talk about equity, equal rights, and equalitarianism when it comes to the Indian Constitution, but how much in effect are we successful? Am I, you, or anyone who's currently viewing this program on YouTube right now or through other platforms, like all of you right there, how many of us have been really successful in bringing about equity in real sense? It's all been taught in our Indian Constitution classes. My friend were listening to us, the Column Curae people, and right now over the internet forum of YouTube. My question to you is, we need to ponder upon this, and the solution is very simple. It's difficult, but simple. We have to go by this Criminal Amendment Act 2019, or the bill that has been come forth. The 172nd Amendment in 2000, which was put forth, subsequently has been taken forward, and there have been few proposals that have been made. And at the end of the day, whether we agree to disagree with all the proposals or not, it's secondary. But somewhere it's fundamental, it's important for the purposes of equity that a male, female, a gender, or any third gender, or for that matter, a very simple person, a human being, as simple as that, full stop, period, should be amenable to the law if she or he or the third gender has done anything wrong, and therefore 375 needs to be widened and needs to undergo that change. Now, coming to the proposals that has been made, of course, to incorporate the word transgender in under section 8 and under section 10, 8 and 10, I discussed at the very beginning of the session. If you just go back, flip back, and through the minutes, and then you'll find out that it was discussed. And then, of course, section 354 and 375, all of it has been looked into from a very gender neutral perspective. And from the way it has been framed, the word man has to be changed in under section 354, A, B, C, D, and those places to whoever. Now, that whoever can be a man, can be a woman, can be a third gender, whatsoever it is. But broadening the ambit is the fundamental, it is the key. Then there is no two ways about it. Okay. And then this she and he should be changed to person, like make the ambit wider. And then coming to section 375, it has been clearly mentioned that the man has to be changed to any person, woman to any other person, and make it gender neutral and not more of a gender centric attitude that we have been harboring for the longest time now. We need to come out of the pro Victorian sexual modes of the colonial understanding and really look forward and make this penal code a more of a constitutionally valid and more equity based penal code when it comes to giving punishment to the offenders and when it comes to giving justice to the victims, be it a man, be it a woman, be it a transgender, it's whoever that person is. And that's fundamental. Go through that bill. And of course, that is kind of looked into not only IPC evidence and CRPC as well, with the gender neutral approach of not man, woman, in this thing. It's all about the person. It's all about any other person and those kind of words that can be incorporated to make these sections much more futuristic and long term when it comes to equity and good conscience. That's my answer, Shrishti.
Indeed, sir. So the data that you gave us, like that was actually insightful because that was something new, and I am sure that you are in favor of changing. Changing certain portions of existing laws like IDC, POSH, general clauses, and a not really a
Evidence
new
and CRPC as
legislation.
well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. A new provision needs to come in so that all these are included in the ambit, whatever you covered. Right, sir.
Yeah, very right. I mean, little bit of tweaking and using of common sense and little bit of aggression. When I say aggression, not like this aggression, but aggression of farsightedness and being a little bit visionary and understanding what our constitution is favoring for the correct ends of natural justice, simple justice, equity, and good conscience. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, agreed every point that you said and noted as well because it was really insightful and a great session indeed. And I, on behalf of the entire team of Column of Curae, thank you heartily again, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving our viewers this wonderful session.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for this invitation. And all of you are doing such excellent work, and all of you who are involved are such bright, insightful people. And I mean, you guys are taking this forward, and I really hope all the best for all of you. Genuinely, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir.